Hello guys, welcome to the new video tutorial on Angular. In a last video tutorial, we guys have seen how we can use a template driven form in a Angular, and using the template driven form how we can able to take that all form information into our TypeScript console. Well, this example we guys are going to check the reactive forms. The reactive forms in Angular are uses for validations, and this form is again one kind of template. Those are binded with the TypeScript file of that component. So in many of the application, when you are working on a forms or you are working on getting a data from the user, then in Angular we are using this reactive forms. So let us implement a one single example of this reactive form, and let us do understand how we can able to use this reactive form into our form of the Angular. So for this I have already created a fresh project, and into this project we guys are going to create a component. We have an inbuilt component available here, that is app component. So I don't have anything right here into the app component.html, into the css and into the TypeScript file. So let us work it one by one. So very initially I'm going to design the style for the HTML. So we are going to say a div with the class of container viewed. So let me close this first. So this is a class of container viewed. I'm going to write bg gradient and this is bg dark. Similar like this, we are going to add some paddings. We are going to post that text into the center, and I'm going to change that color as a white. And let me add it to the h2 as Angular reactive forms. Okay, this is how. Let us check in the output. We have to connect an internet, then the bootstrap classes are getting applicable. So let us connect with this to the internet. Alright, now let us check with this. So I'm going to refresh the page, and here we are. So we are having this Angular reactive forms background with the bg dark and gradient, and the text in center, text in white. Well, in the next step I'm going to create a container, and here we are going to add the form, the same component or the same form I'm going to create when I'm working with the template driven form. So the same style I'm going to write here. So one more div we are going to create. Okay, this class belongs to container from the bootstrap, and here I'm going to add that file. So let me get it done from the bootstrap. So here I'm going to say bootstrap 5 forms, and some controls we are going to be copy. So let me just go to the form control. So same example I'm going to be working at here. So let us copy this, let us paste it at here. So in the last example also we haven't uses this second div, so I'm going to delete this. This for attribute is not required, so let me remove this here. So the first value that we are going to take, let us say I'm going to take first name as the label. Similar like this, we are going to create the class. Okay, this type must be the text. This ID I'm going to remove, and I'm going to change the placeholder also. So let me just remove this. I'm going to get it to the new line, and the placeholder for the first name, let us say it as a John. Right now, same div I'm going to be copied here, and I'm going to paste it out for the last name. So this is what for last name. So I'm going to change this to the last name, and this type is text, and here I'm going to write a last name. Let us take it as a Smith. Okay, one more div we are going to add, which is what for email address. So I'm going to say email address, and this is put type email, and their placeholder is john@mail.com. This is the form that we guys got created. Now let us check how does it appears. Alright, so it appears good. We have to write some css to that so that it will comes to the center and everything will be get fine. Well, I'm going to apply this css to this class container. So let me go to the app component.css. So this is user defined class, and I'm going to margin from bottom and top and bottom is 10 pixels, and from left and right is add. Okay, that's fine. So auto is not working well, so you guys can able to change that width to the 60%, or If it is not applicable, we are going to write that. All right, so it is getting work. So I'm going to write it to, let us say, 40%. Check how does it looks like. Yeah, 40% is good. So this is what my form right now we got created. And we are going to apply this label style to the bold. So I'm going to say here, okay, label, and to the label I'm going to say the font weight is bold. So font weight bold, it appears fine, everything is good. Now we are going to add the buttons over there. So let us change the background colors also. So I'm going to say background color is aqua blue. Okay, this is how it looks like. We are going to add some padding so that it looks fine. So I'm going to say padding 20 pixels. Right now it's fine. So we have a padding and we have this form available. Let us add the buttons to the form. So as we have understood in the last session, to create a button to form, you should have used input type as a submit. So here I'm going to copy this entire file, and instead of this label, I don't want this label right now. And I'm going to say here input type as submit, and this is class form control, and this is how it looks like. So I'm going to change their background colors and everything. So placeholder is not required, so that submit should be in lowercase. That doesn't matter anyway into the HTML. So let us apply that changes. So here I'm going to say input type is equals to button, or we can write one user defined class, let us say custom button, and to the custom button I'm going to say background color, let us take it as aqua. Okay, then the text to the center. All right, so this CSS I'm going to apply here. So I'm going to say class, this is custom button, and the form control both together. uh Text center. Okay, text line, it must be in CSS, text line to the center. Great. So we have this button right here, and we have all the form control right here. Now I have to works on a reactive form control, and to works on the reactive form control, we guys needs to add one module or one component to our app.model.ts, and that name of component you have to add to the imports array, and that must be the reactive forms module. So you have to add it first. If you able to add these details, then and then only you can able to works with that information those we have stored into the form, which is created reactive forms in our Angular. So moreover, we guys needs to add that info, add that form name or that import to our app.model.ts, and then using some steps we can able to write with the code. The step one is to create the reactive form variable into our TypeScript file. And now to create with this, here I'm going to say my reactive form, okay, of type any. Right now I'm just defining of type any, but it must be belongs to the type of form group. It must be the form group object. So whatever the controls we got created into the form, that group is so called as form group, and we can access that controls individually. As we have seen, when it comes to reactive forms, it automatically binds with that controls to our TypeScript file. So that set of control is called as form group, and this is my form group variable, and I have to assign right at here by creating the form tag. So like in the same example, this entire div, I'm going to write it to the form tag, and I'm going to close this form tag after closing this div. And next to that is I'm going to add the form group control right here, and this form group control we are going to bind to that variable just now we got created. So as I wanted to bind the control, so I'm going to use open close square bracket, and this is the form group and that name of variable. Moreover, you guys have to be understand this name of variable and this component variable must be same in a case sensitivity. So if that both variables are same, it's working fine. Let us say I'm going to write some spelling mistakes. You can see it turns into the error. It is going to mention that this variable does not exist in your app component. So you have to be make sure whatever the variable name that you are going to write, that needs to be matches with this property. Well, after writing this, can we able to extract the information? And the answer is no. We cannot able to extract the information, because as we have just assigned a variable name to our form, but we haven't assigned that controls right there. And to assign the control, what you guys needs to do, in a template driven form, we have given the name for each and every input type. I hope you remember, in a template driven form we have given the names, but here when it comes to the reactive forms module or reactive forms, you guys have to given the form control name, and this name must be binds to the all the controls that we are going to create right at here. Now let us initiate this variable instead of declaring. So I am going to initiate this as reactive forms equals to new, and as it's come from form group element, we are going to form group. Here we are going to initiate all this variable. So here it says the element is not found. We have to import that from the Angular form. So import, that is what, form group, okay, from the Angular forms. You guys can see we can able to access with this. So as right now I have three different controls right there: first name, last name, and email. So I'm going to create with them, like first name, okay, it's as a new form control. So this is form control, and we can again going to import with this. So it's again coming from same package. So here only I'm going to write as a form control, and in a form control we should have to provide what must be the initial value of that control when it is going to load on a page. So I don't want to show it right now, so I'm going to say an empty string, or you can provide a null, both can be works fine. So let us provide an empty string right here, and for the second control I'm going to mention last name. So that is also the form control must be capital, and the initial value again I'm going to provide null. And the next one is email, okay, as new form control, and their initial value I'm so going to set it to the null. Well, what you guys needs to understand right here is, whatever the variable names of this control that we got created right at here, I have to bind them to the same control name along with this input to the form control names. So for this input I have given the form control name as first name, where my f small, so I have to write like the same. For this last name we have given the form control name as, let us say, last name, so we have to write it the same. And for this one we have given the form control name as the email. So you have to write that same name, and then only they can able to bind. Now the form is bind, now our controls are bind. Now after clicking on that submit button, we have to show that information. And to do with that, so we are going to create a ng submit bind event on our certain event of our TypeScript file. So let me write that ng event as I want to bind this event. So I'm going to use open close parenthesis, and then ng submit equals, I'm going to write a method called as on submit. Well, in template driven form we have seen that to this on submit we are passing that form reference variable, and in the reactive forms, as the variable is already binded to our data, so we not required to pass it, we can directly access with that. Only thing right now that we have to do is to create this method into our TypeScript file, so that this URL will be got removed. So I'm going to create this method after this variable creation. So I'm going to say on submit, no, and into this, now let us say back to the HTML, so you guys can see the error will be got removed. And as this variable is already available in my TypeScript file, so I am going to print that values easily. So I'm going to say console.warn, and that variable, that is this dot reactive forms dot value. Right, now let's save with this. Let us check the output. So here we are. So as I'm printing the data on a console, so I'm going to right click on this, open the developer console. So here we are. All right, I'm going to remove all, and now let us check. So I'm going to write a first name as Suraj, last name Power, and Suraj dot LeadSoft or else I'm going to mention suraj.pawar@leadsoft.academy. Now let us click on submit. So you guys can see the array got created, which is similar to the template driven form, but it is having that control of binding that information to our HTML into your direct of the TypeScript file. As we have seen, like let us just reload the page. Once it is a reload, so you guys can see the data will be set it whatever we are going to set while creating that reactive form. Well, while creating the reactive form, for every information you guys can see we haven't put any data, but let us say while loading the pages, or when the page is going to show, initially I wanted to show the information, so here I am going to put it like, let us say I wanted to show my name here. For the first name, only for the first name, and last name and email we are going to keep remains with the same. Now let us refresh the page and check what is exactly is going to happen. So you guys can see the data, that initial value whatever we have given Suraj is got written into the first name. So what if I am going to change it to, let us say, Vijay. Let us save and let us refresh. So you guys can see that whatever the initial information that we have given is coming on this web page. So if you have any logic related to the forms, that when it's going to load, that you have to load with some basic information into the forms, well, that could be done in a reactive forms module, because it helps us to bind that control for our TypeScript variable, and we can able to change that value very easily. So this is all about the reactive forms control. I hope you guys have understood what are the reactive forms control and how to create with them. If you really understood something, give us the thumbs up, do share with the needful people, and thanks for watching this video.